Does the Rascal appear only in mineshafts, asks Wario, and it's a very valid question because although the Minecraft Live vote screen had a clear mineshaft in the background, it doesn't necessarily confirm that he's only there. However, the description of the video says, meet the Rascal, a mischievous mob that loves to play hide and seek. The Rascal lurks in underground mines, waiting to be found. So here's the question, does underground mines specifically mean abandoned mineshafts, or could that mean anywhere that people are going mining? If you think about it, is a giant cave not just a type of mine? I lean towards them implying that they do want this to be a mineshaft only mob, but then that even further eliminates the value of getting a pickaxe from him, because not only can we get the pickaxe from the chest already, you're right, dazzling action, but also a mineshaft is filled with wood, which means you can already craft one, and it's not going to be as good as an enchanted iron pickaxe, but that is the problem to me of what exactly would be the purpose of adding a mob specifically to the mineshaft. I think it would be a great idea as long as he has some unique drop that is worth going to him for. However, without that clarity, it's really hard to know, right? And speaking of knowing, Mark Thompson has a good question, which is, if Roger Badgerman were to leak what the 1.20 update is called, would you make a video on it? And honestly, this is more of a question to me of, will Roger Badgerman or other leakers ever know what the next update is called ahead of time? And I think the answer is almost certainly not. I think that although they say they're an actual games industry insider, the odds of them being actually a Mojang employee seems quite low, and if they are a Mojang employee, they work on Legends because that's where most of their leaks come from. Their most prolific leak was knowing about the 3 mobs ahead of time. You know, the Sniffer, the Tougher, the Rascal, when you look at these 3 mobs, which were known ahead of time and is a very big leak, it's clear that when you saw that they knew previously about the mob vote happening from the launcher, they had the same screen but with the Copper Golem and the Alley and last year's mobs. It seems clear to me that as soon as they made the switch over in those internal files, which are obviously hidden or encrypted or whatever, it seems as though they just knew how to leak and data mine to find those new files. However, it is worth mentioning the media gets access to the titles of updates a little bit ahead of time, maybe 2 days in advance or a day in advance, so they can write their articles to go live as they make their announcement, rather than every journalist in the world having to watch Minecraft Live too. And this actually is extended to YouTubers some years, so when the Caves and Cliffs update was leaked a few years back, it was just a random YouTuber who signed an NDA and then clearly didn't understand what that meant. And so yeah, that could happen again. We could know about the update title, but I don't think the update title is worth knowing about until we see actual announcements to go with it. Would the wild update mean anything without knowing what is inside of it? I think not, and so I think it's entirely worth waiting and seeing until next Saturday when Minecraft Live is. Just a reminder, by the way, you can watch my live stream. The event is there now if you want to hit notify me so you know exactly when it's happening. And also, a lot of people have asked, Toycat, who are you voting for at Minecraft Live? And I want to make it clear, I'm a strong, principled man who believes very strongly in the power of money. So what I end up doing is I go in with something that I want to vote for, and then people end up bribing me, and I say, well, I do like money more than I like the tough golem or the right to vote, so I'll be shilling for whoever bribes me the best. Speaking of being bribed the best, did you know I'm going to bribe you right now to hit subscribe? Because if you want to see the latest information about Minecraft updates, as well as a full 25-minute rant about democracy in Minecraft and what it tells us about democracy in the real world, I did decide to make that video and many more, which you can see by subscribing, perhaps with the bell turned on. Speaking of subscribing with the bell turned on, you do acknowledge the Rascal could give you something else, right? This is important to say, everyone, right now, and I want to make this very, very clear. If you are considering voting for the Rascal, or you're considering not voting for the Rascal, so if you're considering voting, you should know that although the Rascal is giving an iron pickaxe in that clip, that's just one of the loot drops it could have. In fact, every mob that we voted for so far, with the exception being the Alley, has come with some form of unique item drop too. The Phantom has one, the Goat has one, the Frog has 3 actually. Wow, that's kind of, they're really great blocks as well that I hate the process of getting, but I really like that they exist. And even the Glow Squid gave us glow item frames, so you can assume there would be something unique too. It would be really ridiculous if they added a hide and seek mob that had no purpose beyond that. But even then, don't you like hide and seek? This is, honestly at this point, given that every single poll anyone has done is indicating the Sniffer is going to win, I kind of want to tell people to vote for the Rascal just so we have a closer contest, you know? I think it's important to have a close call in democracy rather than a steamroll. Speaking of steamrolls, blue mob, why does that matter? I'm not caught up. Every single time we've had a blue mob come up for the vote, people have voted for it. It's a little bit unfair to say because in the Glow Squid year, there was a Isolager as well, but when it came to blue mob versus yellow mob, people voted for the blue mob. When it came to blue mob versus orange mob, people voted blue, and when it came to blue mob versus actually good mobs, we voted for... you know the guy. You know him. And so the meme was that we always vote for the blue mob, and it looks like this year is where that maybe goes differently. Maybe not, we'll have to see. By the way, Rafodono says extinct mob, upcoming confirmed archaeology update. A coincidence? I think not. Well, just to clarify, there's no confirmed archaeology update. They keep on kind of clarifying that, like, it's in the ideas library, and we're going to come back to it when it makes sense. However, I think 1.20 might be an archaeology update, and I've heard a pretty compelling reason as to why. If you look at the 3 mobs they're considering adding, the Sniffer is an extinct mob, the Rascal lurks down below ground, and the Tough Golem is this weird statue that is clearly from ancient times. It would make sense if you found some of the parts for the Tough Golem down in some ancient ruins. The Sniffer, although they've hinted that it will come in these, ruined chests, they could be found also in the archaeology system. And then if you consider the fact that they look suspiciously like this fossil with this fossil on its face, wow, now all of a sudden it looks like an archaeology update might be happening, right? Again, a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, at this point, we're just stretching. People are all having their theories about what 1.20 will be, and the only time we'll find out is on Saturday at this time, all around the world, or you can just click my live stream and you'll get a countdown to it. By the way, do you think he could be bigger than the Ravager? Asks Aaron, of course referring to the Sniffer, and well, I mean, if you look at the size of the skeletons and you compare it to the Ravager, clearly the Sniffer is bigger that way. However, if we actually spawn the mobs side by side, which is probably not a very smart idea given that I'm in survival, but if we do summon the 2 mobs side by side, you'll see that at least according, to this particular mod implementation, you can see the Sniffer is so much bigger than a Ravager. I think the end result is the Sniffer will be maybe the size of a llama, maybe not even that. It's going to be bigger than a turtle, bigger than the other 2 mobs, but it's not going to be huge. Or maybe it is. It's gonna be a player's height or so is all we really have for scale. I guess they'll do all the implementation stuff later. I don't know why it's so huge in this mod pack, by the way. I just find it hilarious that it's this chunky. Look how tiny the Ravager looks by comparison. So yeah, vote for the Sniffer if you want a mob that is 10 times the size of the Ravager. That is just actual fact. That must be how it really is, trust me. By the way, something else I think we should dispel while we're here, because, you know, any of these mobs could be any size technically. We're not voting for a mob size, we're not voting for a mob drop, we're just voting for the very concept of a mob and the vague description that comes with it. However, the description that comes with the Sniffer is a really interesting one, because does the Sniffer come with 1 plant or multiple? You'll read right here that you can hatch new mobs, breed them, and figure out how to make the extinct thrive once more. There are decorative plants that only the Sniffer can help you grow. A lot of people read that at first glance and they say, wow, he's going to help us grow lots of decorative plants, and technically speaking, it could be lots of separate plants, but it also could mean, if you grow 1 wheat seed, you have 1 seed. If you have 2 wheat seeds, they're both the same seed, and yet you have 2 different seeds, if you get what I'm saying. So do you have seed or seeds? Do you have plant or plants when it fully grows? And the answer is, honestly, they can interpret that however they want. There could be lots of variations of the same plant. In fact, if you really want to go technical here, as a lawyer, it says there are decorative plants that only the Sniffer can help you grow, but they don't clarify that it's only decorative. I mean, lots of things that are decorative also have a function. An item frame is only decorative, but you can measure it using redstone if you really want to. It looks like this, and it's a bit silly and involves a comparator, but you can technically measure an item frame and therefore use it as part of redstone, and therefore they're not solely a decorative item. Also, you can spin things and that's fun. So you could have something that's decorative, but then also has additional uses. And honestly, at this point, I see why most people just vote on instinct rather than looking into it too much. The further you look into these things, the crazier you go, which is one of the flaws in Minecraft democracy that is also true in real democracy. Wow, would that be a good 25-minute video? I don't think it would be, but you better believe I'm making it anyway. Speaking of things that might be made anyway, I imagine the Rascal being some sort of small mob that might run up and steal an item or a stack of items from your inventory, then run off with it like some sort of evil raccoon thing. And let me just say, this is the worst idea for a mob ever, until you said evil little raccoon thing. Mojang, if you want the Rascal to win the mob vote, this is the one time where I'm saying, rather than making something fictional, you know, the Sniffer, the Rascal, and the Tough Golem are all fictional mobs, we should have something that is real, a raccoon. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys how much of a simp I am for raccoons. I got this little squishable raccoon right here. Look, he's got a cute little tail. I love raccoons. I'm sad we don't have them in the UK. Fun fact, it's a North American exclusive mob. You gotta go very far to get out there. But yeah, I do think that it's interesting that Minecraft over the last few mob votes has gone from giving us realistic options like goats or frogs, things we actually voted for, back into fantasy. Over the last 3 years, has there been a single realistic mob? I think the closest you'll find is the Moo Bloom, and is the Moo Bloomer Realistic Mob? That really depends on what you mean by realistic, and if you mean realistic, then no, I guess. And so yeah, I do think it's really interesting to look at Minecraft's progression, but I hope that this mob vote is a sign that, yeah, they are taking things less realistic. Some of the best mobs in Minecraft aren't the realistic ones. I've seen a lot of people argue, we need more ambience. No, we need more mobs like the Guardian, or the Shulker, or the Creeper. These are some of the best mobs in Minecraft, whereas the Rabbit, the Goat, and the Turtle add some ambience, but every single ambient mob together is not as interesting as those three. Or the Enderman, the Blaze, the list can go on, but long story short, Minecraft is good when it finds the balance between realism and real life, and if that's a ghoulish raccoon you play hide and seek with, that's good, and if that's a weird turtle thing that went extinct and is, or a golem made from tuff, that's also fine. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to the video. I think it's weird when you look at my face for too long. You can see that I haven't shaved with this camera. That's annoying. You know, I'm trying to grow a beard. It's been like a week, and this is what I have, because someone said on chat I should grow a beard, and I'm apparently very susceptible to believing people when they tell me to do what I want to do. Anyway, speaking of things I want to do, I want to mention the last question here. It's from Sam the Wolf, and they say, wait, how do you even vote though? And this is important. You need to follow this step precisely. Step 1 is to go to your launcher or Minecraft.net or the Minecraft gathering in-game. Step 2 is to make sure you've researched all the candidates fully, and then step 3 is to listen blindly to whatever your favorite YouTuber says, and or vote for the mob you think is cutest. Just remember, right now the Sniffer is in a massive lead, so if you're the sort of person who likes to vote for underdogs, you could go that way, or if you're the sort of person who likes to vote for things that make it into the game, you can feel powerful if you're that person, like, oh, Mojang is doing all these things because of me, then vote for the Sniffer, the current clear winner. And this isn't necessarily a question, but I thought it was fun, because I asked at the end of last week's Q&A Saturday, hey, so I want to do like a future builds you shouldn't make in survival, but I've done 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't want to do 10, it's too stereotypical, and I got 2 comments here saying that I've got to do 11 builds you shouldn't attempt, like a nice prime number according to Anthony Pina. And so yeah, that series is one of my favorites because it's one that just happens whenever I have enough ideas that have built up over time where I'm like, I really don't want to do this in survival, even though I really want to do this in survival. And so the next time I've had 11 of those, you'll know, because we'll have just skipped 10 and we'll get a few confused comments, but to me, that is half the fun. Just like how half the fun of watching Minecraft live is indeed learning about all the stuff, which we can do next week together, Saturday, 4 p.m. UK time, all of these times around the world. I look forward to seeing you there, and in the time between now and then, I am going to be streaming, including to do the Texan accent live stream. I said if we hit 600 members, I'd do a Texan accent the entire live stream, and we hit 600. We're on the way to 750, which is the next major goal. That one will be fun too, but you know what else is fun? Saying thank you for watching, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, my fellas, because I'm gonna see you when I'm Texan next. This will be my worst or my best live stream ever, I can't decide, but that's half the fun. Goodbye.